Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the streets of Old Edo, the place that centuries later will be known as Tokyo. You wake on a rough bed, the air cold against your skin. The room is narrow, the plaster thin, and every creak of the floorboards above you carries through as though it belongs to your own house. The tatami beneath you smells faintly of straw and old rain. You roll your shoulders, and the blanket, worn and patched, slides down, letting in a sharper edge of the morning chill. Somewhere nearby a kettle clicks, steam beginning to rattle against its lid. You can smell smoke that doesn't belong to you, cooking that belongs to a neighbour, and through the cracked window you hear the faint call of a vendor who is already awake, already calling out to the narrow street. So before you settle in, you can gently tap like and subscribe, only if it feels right for you. And if you'd like, leave a comment sharing where you're listening from, or which moment in history you'd most want to wake up in. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You breathe out and let the day of Edo come to you. Your eyes blink open wider as you adjust to the thin, silvery dawn. The sliding paper door glows faintly with the light of a hidden sun, not yet risen above the low-tiled roofs. The air is damp, and your breath hangs just for a moment before it disappears. Outside, a rooster calls. From farther off, a temple bell sounds its slow bronze echo, marking a new hour. You press a hand to the wooden wall, and it is cool, trembling faintly as footsteps run past the building's exterior. A child shouts. A woman calls back, a cart's wheel groans against stone. This is Edo, not the neon Tokyo you might imagine, but the same city in an earlier age. In time this place will be renamed Tokyo, the eastern capital, yet for now it is Edo, a city of paper walls, wooden bridges, and a million voices pressed close together. The room around you is sparse. A folded kimono on a wooden peg, a straw hat hung from a nail, the faint outline of inked calligraphy brushing the paper wall. Everything is both fragile and enduring. Records suggest rooms like these were often crowded, whole families living shoulder to shoulder. Yet here, for this moment, you are alone, and the silence is yours. Your body aches from yesterday's work, perhaps from lifting, perhaps from long walking, perhaps simply from the shape of a straw mat that was never meant to cushion much. But this ache is familiar. You stretch, and the joints crack in a way that is almost comforting. You slide the door a little, and let the outside come in. Cold air, the smell of wet earth, ash scattered in the lane. A dog barks once, then quiets. The city is beginning to stir, and you feel it as though its breath becomes your own. Somewhere close, water splashes, perhaps drawn from a well. Voices murmur. A laugh, a cough. A door slams. All of Edo lives close, pressed together in wood and smoke. It means you are never far from warmth, but never far from noise. You kneel and run your fingers along the edge of the floorboard. The wood is soft from age, polished by countless bare feet. You lift it slightly, just enough to see a shadowed space beneath, an empty gap where dust gathers and mice sometimes run. You drop it back in place, and the house answers with a hollow thud. Your robe waits, folded at the peg. The cotton is rough but familiar, dyed in muted colours that once were brighter. You wrap it around yourself and knot it without looking. As you do, the fabric releases a faint smell of smoke, as though it has remembered last night's fire. When you step to the threshold, you pause. The paper door is damp at the edges. It slides open with a rasp, the sound of fibres straining against wood. A gust of air flows in, sharper than you expected, carrying scents of fish and miso and damp earth. You step outside. The lane is narrow, just wide enough for a cart to pass. Roofs lean toward one another overhead, dripping last night's condensation. A woman bends at a bucket, splashing water across the dirt to settle the dust. An old man shuffles past, straw sandals scuffing against stone. His breath wheezes, but his steps do not falter. Farther down, A vendor calls again. The words are rough, half swallowed by distance, but the rhythm is familiar. Fish for sale, still glistening from the river. Another bell answers him, a thin chime carried by a seller of greens. The sounds overlap, each voice layering into the chorus of the waking city. You feel the rhythm of Edo wrapping around you. This is not a silent place. It never has been. Here you are part of a living tide, each sound pressing against the next, each step echoing on the stone. For a moment you pause, letting it wash over you, the hiss of steam from a neighbour's kettle, the slap of laundry against wood, the rising chatter of sparrows clinging to the eaves. You breathe, steady and slow, and the city breathes with you. The morning is yours. You step fully into the lane, the chill of damp earth rising around your ankles, and the sound of Edo swells. What felt like faint murmurs a moment ago now presses against you as a tide of voices and movement. A vendor's call drifts close, rough and rhythmic, the syllables stretching like waves. You do not need to see him to know. His baskets are strung from a pole across his shoulders, and inside them gleam the catch of the morning. Fish, still silver and slick, their scales flashing faintly in the rising light. The words he cries are not just an invitation but a melody. Everyone knows. Children answer with laughter, and you hear the clink of coins as a neighbour buys quickly, before the best are gone. Another sound intrudes, a hollow drum beat, soft but insistent, carried by a tofu seller. Each strike against his wooden block rings once, then fades, then comes again. The rhythm tells you what he carries long before his figure emerges through the mist. The smell of soy drifts faintly, gentle and nut-like, mixing with the sharper scent of river fish. Closer to the corner, you hear the thin metallic ringing of bells, small brass chimes tied to the pole of a vegetable vendor. His words overlap with the tofu seller's drum, a chorus of need and habit. The bells jingle as he sets down his baskets, green leaves spilling over, wet from the morning's wash. This is how Edo wakes sound first, before sight. The streets are narrow, and the air thick, but the voices carry. Records hint that more than 1 million people lived here at its height, pressed within wooden houses and crowded lanes. Yet even in the closeness there is order. Each trade has its sound, each rhythm its meaning. You walk slowly, bare feet brushing against damp stone, and the world unfolds. A door slides open on your left and steam rolls out, curling up into the air. A woman leans forward, setting a bucket down. The bucket strikes the ground with a dull thud, and she exhales sharply from the weight. She does not notice you, or perhaps she does, and does not mind. A moment later, a man hurries past, shoulders bent beneath a wide bundle of firewood. Each stick rattles against the others, the smell of pine resin sharp even before the bundle brushes close to you. He grunts as he passes, the sound swallowed instantly by the other voices of the street. Overhead, sparrows dart, their wings beating quickly. They cling to the thatch edges of a roof, scolding one another in bursts. A crow calls from farther away, its voice low and steady, as if it marks its own corner of the waking city. You pause at a crossroad. Here the lane opens slightly, just enough for the sky to show more fully. Clouds hang pale and streaked, the colour of ash. The sun has not yet climbed above the roofs, but the light is brighter, filling every damp corner with clarity. You notice the sweep of broom bristles against stone. A boy works along the edge of a shop front, dragging dust into a neat pile. He hums softly, the tune broken but persistent, the kind of melody that repeats without thought. His hands are red from cold, yet he works quickly, head bent, not daring to pause. Perhaps the shop will open soon. Perhaps his master is watching from inside. The smells grow stronger. Soy, fish, smoke, the faint sweetness of pickled radish. Your stomach remembers hunger, though you do not yet stop. The air is not still. Every breeze carries a new fragment, a trace of something cooking or burning, something ordinary that will mark this morning and no other. Farther down, Two men argue over the price of rice. Their voices rise and fall, not in anger but in necessity. Rice is everything here. Records show how the price could shape lives, how a shortage could topple even the mighty. You cannot catch all their words, but you hear the tension in them, the syllables clipped, the pauses sharp. A child stumbles between them, clutching a wooden toy carved in the shape of a horse. The men step aside briefly, then return to their talk as though nothing had interrupted them. The toy clacks softly against the stone as the child drags it onward, the rhythm oddly steady. The sound of sandals thickens behind you. A group of women walks together, sleeves brushing as they go, baskets balanced at their hips. They speak quietly, their words like threads woven into the larger fabric of the street. Laughter flickers once, then fades as they turn into another lane. You notice how the city feels like an echo chamber, every voice bouncing from wood to stone to plaster. Nothing is ever fully alone. Even when one sound fades, another rises to replace it. You close your eyes for a moment, letting it all sink deeper. The tofu block's soft drum, the bells of vegetables, the caws of crows, the laughter of children, the scuff of sandals. Each sound is a layer, building into something larger than any single voice. When you open your eyes again, you catch a glimpse of the Nahanbashi Bridge in the distance, the faint curve rising above the rooftops. Traders will soon gather there, their calls louder than these early murmurs. But for now the street is enough, a living corridor of sound and smell, pressing gently against your skin. You step forward again. The stone is cool beneath your feet, but already drying in places where the sun begins to reach. A door slams shut behind you, sharp enough to echo, and then fades. A cart wheel creaks slowly to your left, pulled by a tired ox whose hooves strike the ground with muffled thumps. And through it all, the pulse continues. Edo waking, never pausing, never quiet, a chorus of survival and routine. You breathe, slow and steady, and let the sounds carry you onward. You follow the lane as it narrows again, bending past low eaves that almost touch. The rhythm of Edo continues, but now a new sound cuts through the hollow clatter of buckets. Ahead of you, a well waits at the center of a small square. Its roof is made of wood, beams darkened by steam and weather, the rope hanging thick with moisture. People gather here each morning, for water is both life and ritual. As you approach, the air changes. Dampness thickens, carrying the metallic tang of iron and the cool scent of stone. The ground around the well is slick, footprints pressed deep in the mud. You step carefully, hearing the faint squelch beneath your feet. A woman pulls hard at the rope, her body leaning back with the weight. The pulley creaks, wood grinding against wood, rope stiff with use. Each turn is slow, and then the bucket rises, dripping dark water over the rim. She grunts, sets it down with a hollow thud, and the splash runs across the ground. The water smells faintly of earth, deep and hidden. Nearby, another figure waits his turn. An older man, back bent, holding two buckets joined by a wooden yoke. His hands are calloused, fingers curled tightly around the handle. He does not hurry. His breath is slow, patient, as though the well has always been here, and always will. Records suggest that many such wells dotted Edo, each feeding not just households but small communities, their presence woven into the rhythm of daily life. As you wait, you hear voices carried across the square. Two women whisper together, their tones sharp with gossip. You do not catch every word, but phrases drift. A neighbour's new apprentice, a husband who came home late, the rising cost of rice. Their voices lower when another passerby draws near. Secrets, it seems, are as common as water. The rope squeals again as another bucket descends. The splash is muffled, then silence, then the heavy effort of drawing upward. The sound repeats, steady as a heartbeat, each lift and drop marking time. You kneel to feel the damp edge of the well. The wood is smooth from countless hands, edges rounded, cool beneath your touch. You imagine all the palms pressed here before yours, children leaning in to peer at the darkness, women balancing heavy jars, men wiping sweat from their brows. Each touch leaves its trace, invisible but felt. A vendor passes through the square, balancing baskets across his shoulders. He pauses just long enough to dip a ladle into a bucket left brimming on the side. He drinks quickly, then sets the ladle back with a quiet bow. No words are exchanged. You step closer as the line shortens. When it is your turn, you grip the rope. The fibers are rough, digging lightly into your palms. You lean back, feeling the weight of the water pull against you. The pulley creaks, a sound so familiar that it almost vanishes into the rhythm of the morning. The square fills with sound, the splash of water, the scrape of buckets, the murmur of talk, the rustle of robes against straw sandals. Each piece fits, overlapping without clashing, a harmony of necessity. For a moment you pause with your buckets full. You shift the weight across your shoulders, the wooden yoke pressing hard against bone. The strain bites at first, but soon it settles into your muscles, familiar as breath. You step carefully, water sloshing against the sides, the sound steady as you walk. As you leave the square, you glance back once. The well remains, ropes and buckets rising and falling, voices circling like birds. It is the same scene that has played out for generations and will play out long after this morning fades. You walk slowly through the lane, buckets heavy, arms pulled by their weight. The world narrows to each step, each shift of balance, each sound of water slapping inside the wood. Then you hear another sound. A low bell, distant but clear. It marks the hour, though you cannot say precisely which. Time here is measured differently, not in the neat ticks of a clock, but in the pulse of bells, the rhythm of sun and shadow. You listen until the sound fades, then step again. The city thickens as you walk. The smells return: fish, smoke, the faint sweetness of miso simmering somewhere close. Voices rise again, louder now, more confident as the day advances. Edo wakes fully, and you are carried within it. Your buckets sway with each step, and the water inside shivers, splashing gently against the sides. The rhythm of your body becomes the rhythm of the street, one motion among thousands. For now, the day is only beginning. You carry the buckets back through the winding lanes, your shoulders aching from the wooden yoke. Each step makes the water inside slosh, a quiet percussion against your ears. By the time you return them to your dwelling, the sun has risen higher, spilling pale light into the narrow alleys. The chores of the morning are done, and yet something tugs at you, an anticipation that grows stronger as the day moves forward. It is the bath that waits ahead. Edo lives close together, walls thin, air heavy with the smoke of many fires. The bathhouse offers release, both for the body and the spirit, though you may wash at home in a basin if you must. The Sento draws you with its promise of heat and community. As the afternoon begins to soften toward evening, you set out. Your robe is tied firmly, sleeves adjusted to sit higher on your arms. In your hand a small towel, folded neatly, tucked inside your sleeve. A few copper coins rattle. The fee for entry, not much, but not nothing either. The street bends into a smaller alley. Here lanterns swing from hooks above doors, their paper sides painted with symbols. One lantern glows with a brushstroke of black ink, the mark of the bathhouse. The paper shivers in the faint breeze, light flickering behind it. The alley smells different here. Less of fish and smoke, more of damp wood and warm steam. As you near the door you hear it, the low murmur of voices, laughter muffled, the soft thud of sandals slipping free. The Sento is alive even before you enter. At the threshold, you pause. A Noran curtain hangs low across the doorway, dyed deep indigo, its white characters painted in bold strokes. The fabric is thick, rough beneath your fingers, and damp from the steam inside. You bow your head slightly, not as ritual but as instinct, then part the curtain and step through. The air hits you at once. humid, dense, carrying the sharp tang of wet wood. You breathe in, and your lungs seem to fill faster than before, the air heavy and close. The floor beneath you is polished timber, smooth from countless bare feet. It creaks faintly as you step forward. To one side, a wooden counter sits low. Behind it, the attendant looks up briefly. His robe is plain, sleeves tucked high. He nods, accepting your coins without words. The metal clinks into a small box, and he gestures you forward. There is no ceremony, no fuss. The transaction is as practiced as breath. Beside you, sandals line the edge of the floor, pairs neatly left in rows. They are wooden, straw, some patched, some new. Each one tells of the person who left it behind, waiting for its owner to emerge again. You slip yours off, toes brushing against the grain of the floor, and add them to the row. The floor cools your skin, grounding you. Ahead, another curtain waits, separating men and women. The fabric is lighter, moving faintly with the current of air. You pass through, entering the men's side. The sounds shift here, deeper voices, laughter carried low, the splash of water against wood. The dressing room is simple, but alive. Baskets are set along the walls, each holding a folded robe, a towel, small belongings. The smell of soapwort, faintly herbal, clings to the air. You hear fabric rustling as men fold their garments, tucking them neatly away. A cough breaks the rhythm, then fades. You untie your robes slowly, the cotton loosening around you. The fabric slips from your shoulders, falling in a whisper against itself. You place it into a basket, folding it with care, though you know it will soon be donned again, still warm from the air. Your towel remains in your hand, light and slightly rough. For a moment you stand still. The room hums softly with activity, but you let yourself pause. You feel the wood beneath your feet, smooth yet cool. You hear the faint squeak of hinges as another man passes through the next door. You follow. The bathhouse chamber opens wide, larger than you expect. Steam rolls heavy, clouding the far corners, turning bodies into silhouettes. The sound here is constant water splashing, voices rising and falling, wood groaning under the weight of buckets. The heat touches you immediately, clinging to your skin, loosening your breath. This place is not only for washing, it is for gathering. Records suggest that in Edo, nearly every neighborhood had its sento, and people came not just to clean themselves, but to meet, to exchange news, to simply exist in the same warmth. Some wrote that the bathhouse was the true heart of the city, as vital as the well or the market. You step deeper. The floorboards are slick beneath your feet, damp with water spilled from countless buckets. The walls drip, condensation running in narrow paths down the wood. The air smells faintly of cedar, soap, and sweat. At the edge of the room, men crouch with wooden buckets, ladling water over their shoulders. The splash rings out, sharp then soft droplets scattering across the boards. Others sit quietly, scrubbing with cloths dipped in herbal foam, the bubbles sliding across skin before vanishing into the steam. You pause, towel in hand, and watch. The heat is heavy, yet strangely comforting. Already, your skin grows slick, your muscles loosening from the weight of the day. You kneel at the washing area. A bucket waits, dark wood bound with iron. You dip it into the water trough, lifting it full and brimming. The weight tugs against your arms as you raise it, then pour it slowly over your back. The shock is immediate, heat cascading across skin, prickling, then softening. You gasp quietly, not from pain but release. Water runs down your legs, pooling at your feet, then slipping away through the slats. You fill the bucket again, repeating the motion, steady, rhythmic. Each pour carries away a layer of dust, of sweat, of the day itself. You glance around. Faces blur in the steam, eyes closed, shoulders relaxed. No one here looks at you directly, and yet everyone is together. The bathhouse is public, shared, but it carries its own form of privacy. each person wrapped in the same cloud, seen and unseen at once. A man nearby coughs lightly, then laughs at his own sound. Another dips a cloth into his bucket, scrubbing his arms in slow circles. A younger man enters, water dripping from his hair, shaking his shoulders against the heat. They do not speak to one another, but they share the space, each movement fitting into the greater rhythm. The steam thickens as you sit back for a moment. It clings to your skin, dampens your towel, fills your breath. Your body aches less, your mind slows. You hear the creak of the large bath itself, an immense wooden tub set deeper into the floor. Water sloshes as men climb in, sighs escaping their mouths. The tub beckons, but you wait. First, the ritual of cleansing, of rinsing, of preparing the body to enter. That is the way it is done, not only out of habit, but out of respect. You pour one last bucket over your shoulders, shivering briefly, then set it aside. Your towel hangs loose in your hand. The heat seems to lift you, guiding you forward, step by step, toward the deeper bath beyond. The Norran curtain outside still sways faintly in memory, but here, within the bathhouse walls, time feels slower, dissolved into mist. The steam clings to your skin as you step back from the washing place, towel damp in your hand. For a moment you hesitate, letting the warmth settle deeper into your muscles. Then you retreat toward the dressing room again, guided by the sound of voices that drift through the thin partition. The chamber narrows, the air less humid, though still heavy with heat. Here in the dressing room the atmosphere is different. Not silence, not noise, but a soft weave of murmurs, fabric rustling, baskets shifting across the floor. You step inside. The wooden floor feels firmer beneath your feet. Though dampness lingers, the air smells of cotton dried in smoke, of soapwort lingering on cloth, of bodies cooling from heat. Rows of wicker baskets sit low against the walls, each one holding garments folded with varying care. A man sits near you, bent slightly as he folds his robe into sharp squares. His hands move quickly, the movements practiced, almost ritual. He clears his throat softly, then says nothing more, his silence speaking as clearly as words. Across the room, two men exchange quiet sentences, voices low enough to blend into the hum of the chamber. Their words are not secrets but fragments. Rice measured at market, a neighbour's illness, a festival approaching next week. You catch only pieces, and perhaps that is all you are meant to catch. Another voice rises briefly, a laugh, sharp but kind, before sinking again into the general murmur. Someone coughs. Another basket creaks as its lid shifts. The dressing room is not still. It is a place of constant subtle sound, each noise blending into a whole. You lower yourself beside an empty basket. The wood sighs faintly under your weight. Your towel rests against your knees, still damp, already cooling. You fold it slowly, feeling the fabric rough against your fingertips, its threads stiff from many washes. You place it carefully atop your robe. As you do, you notice the wall behind you. Its plaster is patched, uneven, places darker from steam that seeped over years. You run your fingers lightly across one crack, feeling how smooth it has become, polished not by design but by time. Records suggest that many bathhouses were rebuilt often, fire or decay claiming their timbers, yet the feeling of endurance remains, each wall bearing marks of countless evenings like this. Someone nearby sneezes, muffled in his sleeve. Another chuckles softly in response. The air shifts as bodies move, cooling slightly but still warm enough to comfort. You lean back a little, letting your shoulders press against the wall. Your skin prickles, dampness cooling slowly into a fine chill. You exhale, and your breath feels easier, as though the dressing room itself encourages you to breathe differently, slower, quieter. The sound of sandals scratching against the floor draws your attention. A man steps out from the deeper bath, hair wet, chest glistening. He walks past without glance, water dripping in soft trails that vanish into the wood. He kneels, folds his towel, retrieves his robe. The cloth slips over his shoulders in a whisper, settling heavy yet familiar. He ties the cord quickly, his motions efficient, then moves toward the exit. His sandals knock softly as he slides them on, and then he disappears behind the curtain, leaving only damp footprints as proof of his presence. You close your eyes for a moment. The room continues without you, the murmurs weaving together, baskets shifting, cloth rustling. You listen deeper. Somewhere beyond, a bell rings faintly, perhaps from a nearby temple, perhaps only a vendor still at his trade. The sound filters into the room, softened by walls and distance, yet still present. Time moves on, though the dressing room feels apart from it. You open your eyes again. Across from you, a young man fumbles with his robe, the cloth slipping from his fingers. He laughs at himself. Embarrassed, though no one else notices. He ties it finely, not perfectly but well enough, then places his sandals beside him with deliberate care. His movements are both clumsy and earnest, a reminder that rituals are learned, not born. A small draught slips through the doorway. The Norham curtain stirs, swaying gently, letting in a breath of cooler air. For an instant, the dressing room feels lighter, fresher, before the heat of the bath seeps back to reclaim it. You shift, adjusting your robe around your shoulders. The fabric clings slightly to damp skin, then settles. You knot the sash loosely, allowing the air to move across your chest. The robe smells faintly of smoke, of home, grounding you again in the world beyond the bathhouse. The murmurs continue. Talk drifts around you. Rice, fish, debts, harvests. One voice mentions a rumour of taxes rising. Another counters with hope for a better year. Letters hint that such conversations filled the bathhouse as surely as steam, each word carrying fragments of life outside these walls. No one here commands the floor, yet everyone contributes, their voices weaving a fabric stronger than silence. You notice your reflection faintly in a polished bronze mirror set against the wall. The surface is warped, darkened, your features blurred. You lean closer, seeing yourself only as shadow and light. For a moment, you wonder if the others see themselves the same way, indistinct, softened, remade by the steam and the murmurs of the room. The mirror holds your gaze until a sound breaks it. The creak of a basket lid closing. Someone stands, robe tied firmly, sandals already in hand. The man bows his head slightly, then moves past you, steps careful and steady. You watch his shape disappear through the curtain, and the murmurs close around the space he leaves. The dressing room is not meant for long stays. It is a passage, a place between the street and the steam, between the toil of the day and the quiet of the night. Yet it holds its own rhythm, gentle and constant, soothing in its small details. You rise slowly, smoothing your robe once more. Your basket is empty now. Towel folded inside, robe wrapped around you again. You lift it, set it back in place, and step toward the curtain. As you part the fabric, the voices fade slightly behind you, replaced by the softer hum of the bathhouse beyond. The air cools further, carrying hints of night. The dressing room remains as it was. Murmurs, folds of cloth, the shifting of baskets. A space of transition, of quiet, of ritual repeated without end. And you step onward into the next moment of Edo's evening. The curtain falls back into place as you step deeper into the chamber. Instantly the air grows thicker, your skin beading with moisture before you even move. Steam rises in heavy clouds, turning the room into a shifting haze where edges blur and bodies melt into silhouettes. You pause at the threshold, letting your eyes adjust. Shapes move through the fog, shoulders glistening, heads bowed, arms lifting buckets of water. Each movement is softened, less person than outline, as though the steam has claimed everyone equally. The floor beneath your feet is damp, slick from constant splashes. Each step makes it creak faintly. The wood swollen with heat and water. You hear a drip, steady, insistent, where condensation gathers along a beam and falls in patient rhythm to the floor below. The air smells of cedar planks soaked through, of soapwort crushed into foam, of bodies warmed and released from the day's dust. It is not unpleasant. It is alive. Someone passes near you, his form barely visible, the warmth of his body brushing yours before he fades back into the mist. His towel swings lightly at his side, damp and limp, like a banner forgotten. He does not speak, nor do you. The bathhouse teaches silence, or at least something close to it, a quiet made from sighs, murmurs, the steady slap of water. You move forward. At your side, a man crouches low with a wooden bucket. He dips it into the trough, lifts it high, and lets the water pour down his back. The splash echoes, sharp and sudden, then vanishes into the wider chorus. His sigh is long, as though the water has drawn something out of him that words could not touch. He repeats the motion again and again, each pour a release, each sigh softer. The steam blurs your vision. You wipe a hand across your brow, but it changes nothing. You can only feel your way now, the warmth pressing close, the sound of voices guiding you, the weight of moisture clinging to your skin. A group sits together along the edge of the large bath. Their voices rise gently, not loud but steady, carrying over the hiss of heat. They speak of mundane things, rice shipments, rumours of a festival, a neighbour's sick child. You catch fragments, each one vanishing as quickly as it arrives. Records suggest bathhouses were as much about conversation as cleansing, places where news travelled faster than on the streets. Here, within the fog, even secrets could slip free more easily, half hidden by the mist. You step closer to the bath itself. The tub is enormous, sunk into the floor, its wooden planks swollen with years of heat. Water laps softly at the edge, disturbed by the movement of bodies within. The surface glows faintly, light from lanterns above scattering across ripples, making it shimmer as though alive. The men inside sit low, their heads barely above the water. Their eyes are closed, faces relaxed, each breath slow and deep. The heat rises from the tub like a living thing, filling the room, feeding the clouds of steam that swallow everything. You kneel at the edge, dipping your hand into the water. The heat bites first, sharp against your skin, then softens as you adjust. Your fingers linger, feeling the weight of warmth pull at you. You withdraw, droplets sliding down your wrist, leaving a trail that cools quickly in the air. Behind you, someone laughs softly. You turn, but the mist shows only vague forms, blurred outlines. The laugh lingers a moment, then dissolves into the general hum. You notice how sound behaves differently here. It does not travel far. It hangs, heavy and muffled, as though the steam absorbs it. Even loud voices seem muted, softened before they reach your ear. The room is crowded, yet it feels distant, as if each figure exists in a small island of fog. You take another step forward. The warmth presses harder now, dampness soaking your hair, running in beads down your temples. Your breath feels slower, pulled thick through the humid air. It is not uncomfortable. On the contrary, it begins to lull you, to soften the edges of thought. A man crosses in front of you, carrying a bucket. The outline of his shoulders gleams briefly, then vanishes. The bucket sloshes, water spilling against the floor with a slap. He sets it down and kneels, scrubbing his arms with a cloth. The cloth squeaks faintly against his skin, then falls silent as he rinses. Somewhere farther in, a child's voice rises, higher, lighter, but quickly hushed by an older tone. Perhaps not a child, perhaps a young apprentice. His laughter stifled, turned back into the rhythm of the bath. You smile faintly at the thought, though you cannot see them clearly. You sit back against the wall for a moment. The wood is hot, damp, pressing its warmth into your spine. You close your eyes, and the sounds sharpen. The splash of buckets, the drip of condensation, the low sighs of bodies yielding to heat. You let it all sink in, each sound distinct yet blending into a single steady hum. The steam curls around you, heavy as cloth. It blurs the line between your body and the air, until you are not sure where one ends and the other begins. You breathe, and the mist seems to breathe with you. Let us hint that some bathhouses in Edo were so filled with steam that newcomers would pause at the door disoriented, needing time to step inside. You feel that now, though you are already within, the fog shifts and flows, its patterns changing with every breath of those around you. Your skin prickles. Drops of water form along your hairline, slide down your cheek, vanish into the collar of your towel. You wipe them away, but more follow. It is endless, this cycle of heat and moisture, as though the room itself sweats with you. Someone nearby exhales heavily, the sound like wind escaping a bellows. Another splashes, water striking wood, echoing briefly. The voices continue, but you let them fade to background. The steam itself becomes the focus. The way it moves, clings, blurs. You step closer to the bath's edge again. The water beckons, rippling faintly, promising more than just heat. You watch as another man lowers himself slowly, arms braced against the rim, body trembling until it adjusts. His sigh carries across the surface, deep and long. He settles, shoulders sinking, eyes closing, mouth soft. The steam thickens around him, making him vanish piece by piece, until only the top of his head remains visible. You know your turn is near. For now, though, you remain at the edge, letting the steam carry you, letting the room's rhythm seep into your bones. The mist presses close, warm and constant, erasing time. You stand at the edge of the great wooden tub, the mist curling around your legs, your skin already damp with anticipation. The heat rising from the water pushes against you, a wall of warmth that asks for surrender. You take a breath, slow and steady, letting it fill you, letting the steam soften your hesitation. The rim of the bath is smooth beneath your palms, the wood darkened by countless hands before yours. You grip it lightly, feeling the faint give of swollen timber, its warmth almost alive, around you. Others sit low in the water, eyes half closed, their breath steady, their bodies loose. They barely stir as you step forward. You kneel, lowering one foot into the water. The heat bites instantly, sharp, like fire made liquid. You gasp without meaning to. A soft sound swallowed by the mist. Your toes curl against the bottom, rough wood softened by years of soaking. For a moment you hold yourself there, half in, half out, the difference between cool air and scalding water cutting through you. Then you lower further. Your calf submerges, then your thigh. The heat climbs, clinging to your skin, seeping into muscle. Your body trembles with the shock, but you press forward, both hands firm against the rim. You slide deeper, inch by inch, until the water covers your waist, your chest, your shoulders. The ache comes first, every nerve burning, your skin protesting. But soon it shifts. The pain melts into something heavier, softer. Your muscles yield, loosening, as though the water has coaxed them open. The weight of the day drifts from you, absorbed by the bath. You exhale long and slow. The steam takes your breath, blending it into the air. The surface ripples outward from your body, waves colliding gently against your neighbours. No one minds. The water belongs to everyone here. That is the truth of the centaur. Shared heat, shared space, shared silence. You lean back against the rim, your arms resting on the edge, your body buoyed. The water hums inside you, deeper than skin, deeper than bone. Your heartbeat slows, matching the rhythm of the room, the steady splash of buckets, the low sighs of men easing into comfort. Your vision blurs. The mist thickens around your eyes, drops forming along your lashes. You blink them away, but more come. The room becomes less a place than a sensation. Warmth, sound, breath. Beside you, a man shifts. His movement sends another wave lapping against your ribs. You glance at him briefly. His eyes closed, head tilted back, mouth slightly open. His towel floats at his side, damp and limp. You look away again, letting him dissolve into the fog. The voices in the bathhouse are quieter here. Most men do not speak while submerged. Their words are saved for the washing place or the dressing room. Here the heat takes priority, yet murmurs still drift. Two men sharing a story in low tones, another humming faintly, perhaps without realizing. You close your eyes. The water surrounds you fully now, pressing against every inch of skin. It is not weightless. It is heavy, insistent, but in its heaviness you find release. You let your head fall forward, steam curling around your neck, droplets clinging to the fine hairs along your arms. Records suggest that the water was drawn from wells, then heated with great bundles of firewood until it reached this intensity. Attendants worked tirelessly to maintain the fires, feeding them day and night, the smoke mingling with the air outside, while the heat filled the baths within. You imagine those fires now, wood cracking, flames roaring, their labour hidden behind the walls. Without them, none of this would exist. The thought drifts away as another wave brushes against you. The tub creaks softly, wood swelling under the strain. You run your fingers along the rim, tracing grooves worn by countless grips. Each mark is a memory of someone else's moment, long gone yet lingering. Your body adjusts further. The ache is gone now, replaced by deep warmth that seeps into marrow. You feel as though you are dissolving, not in pain but in peace. Your breath slows again, shallow yet full, each inhale thick with steam. You open your eyes briefly. The mist has thickened, curling in shapes that shift with every movement. Faces vanish within it, then reappear, blurred and dreamlike. A man across from you lifts his arm, droplets sliding down in silver streaks, catching the faint lantern light before disappearing. The vision is brief, then gone, as though swallowed by the fog. You lean your head back against the rim. The wood presses firm against your skull, grounding you. For a moment you imagine falling asleep here, sinking deeper until water and dream are the same. Perhaps others have done so before, though attendants surely wake them. Letters hint at such stories, men drifting off in the heat, their snores rising softly, only to be roused by a gentle splash. A bead of sweat rolls from your temple down into the bath. It vanishes instantly, indistinguishable from the rest. You smile faintly at the thought. Every drop here merges, becoming part of something greater. The bath creaks again, a sound like a sigh. Someone enters at the far end, their weight sending ripples across the surface. The waves reach you slowly, rocking your body, reminding you of the shared nature of this space. You accept it, shifting slightly to meet the rhythm. The heat holds you firmly now. Your muscles have no resistance left. You are not separate from the bath. You are of it. The water hums in your ears, muffling sound, making the world outside feel distant, irrelevant. You breathe once more, steady and calm, and let yourself sink a little lower. The water rises to your chin, your lips tasting faint salt, your eyes stinging faintly from the steam. You close them again, surrendering. The room continues around you, buckets splashing, murmurs drifting, steam shifting. But for now you are held in the bath itself, a moment suspended, timeless, as though nothing else exists but heat and breath. The heat cradles you, holding your body in a drowsy weightlessness. When the first thread of conversation drifts close, voices, softened by the fog, find their way through the air. They are not directed at you, but here, in the bathhouse, words are shared like steam, impossible to keep to oneself. To your left, two men speak quietly. One's voice is rough, older, weathered by years of shouting over markets or bargaining on docks. The other is quicker, younger, his words rushing out as though he must catch them before they scatter. You catch fragments between the splashes. Rice, a shipment delayed at the river. Prices rising again, though not yet desperate. The older man hums in reply, the sound of agreement without joy. You lean your head back, the rim pressing against your skull, and let their talk wash over you. It is not the content that matters, but the rhythm. Question, reply, pause, sigh. The cadence is steady, as if even the worries of survival must adapt to the calm of the steam. Another voice rises. Nearer this time, a man tells of his neighbour's son, apprenticed to a carpenter, hands blistered from the plane, and saw his tone carries both pride and pity, admiration wrapped in concern. He laughs once, softly, then lowers his voice. Records suggest that bathhouses often carried the news of entire neighbourhoods, rumours and truths drifting between buckets, carried home on damp towels. A cough interrupts, followed by a murmur of sympathy. Someone asks if the man is well. He answers with a chuckle, insisting it is only the steam, not illness. Laughter follows, brief and warm, before silence settles again. The sound of buckets splashing fills the space left behind. You open your eyes. Shapes move slowly through the mist, blurred figures leaning forward, pouring water across shoulders, scrubbing skin with cloths. Their voices are part of the landscape, as natural as the drip from the ceiling beams. On your right, another conversation begins, this one sharper, whispered more than spoken. You strain to hear, though you know you should not. A name surfaces, then fades. A magistrate, taxes, someone arrested, or perhaps only questioned. The details are unclear, uncertain, but the tone carries weight. Letters hint that bathhouses could be places of political murmurings, where men spoke in low voices, trusting the fog to hide their meaning. The whispers end abruptly, when someone else lowers himself into the water beside them, sending a wave across the tub. The heat surges against your chest, and the voices fall silent. You shift slightly, letting the ripple carry you, its rhythm matching the gentle throbbing in your temples. Closer to the edge, a man speaks of the coming festival. His words rise with energy, describing lanterns strung across bridges, drums echoing down narrow lanes, dancers filling the night. Another answers, reminding him of rain last year, when the lanterns sputtered out one by one, paper blackened by damp. They laughed together, voices soft but bright, their words warmed by memory. The steam thickens, curling into your ears, blurring not just sight but sound. Voices overlap now, a chorus of everyday life. Fish caught, debts owed, daughters married, crops late. You cannot separate them, nor do you need to. They blend, weaving into a hum as steady as the bath itself. You lean forward, arms resting on your knees. Droplets slide from your skin, rippling the water below. You close your eyes, and the gossip continues without you. Somewhere to your left, a man clears his throat and begins to hum. The melody is simple, perhaps a folk tune, perhaps something invented on the spot. It drifts through the room, unbothered by words around it. No one stops him, no one joins. The tune lingers, then fades as he sinks deeper into the bath. A sudden splash interrupts, water spilling high, laughter following instantly. A younger man has misjudged his step, slipping into the tub faster than intended. The others chuckle, their amusement soft but genuine. The young man laughs too, rubbing his head sheepishly, the embarrassment dissolving into the mist. You smile faintly. Even here, in silence and steam, voices find ways to shape the air. The heat presses deeper into your body. Your muscles slacken. Your breath slows. The words around you seem to come from far away. Though you know they are close, you imagine the conversations continuing without end. The same worries, the same joys, repeated night after night, year after year. Records suggest that even strangers could share gossip here, their ranks blurred by steam, their words freed by anonymity. Samurai, merchants, labourers, all stripped to the same skin, their differences softened by water. Perhaps that is why the bathhouse held such power. It was both private and public, a place where words floated unanchored, yet still landed where they mattered. You tilt your head back again, eyelids heavy. The gossip continues. A rumour of a fire in another district, perhaps exaggerated, perhaps not. A complaint about the quality of fish this morning. A story of a drunken neighbour stumbling home, sandals lost somewhere along the way. Laughter ripples, soft and shared. A splash of cold water breaks the heat briefly. Someone has ladled a bucket over his head instead of easing in slowly. The shock echoes in his hiss, followed by the chuckle of others. You feel the spray on your own shoulder, droplets cool against the relentless warmth, gone as quickly as they came. Another whisper reaches you, softer, almost lost in the fog. A merchant speculates about the shogun's court. Something about a procession, something about a new edict. His tone is careful, his voice low. His companion listens but does not reply. Silence stretches, as if even here the walls might have ears. And then, just as quickly, the tension dissolves. Someone mentions a new tea cellar near Nihonbashi. Her brews sharper, her sweets sweeter. The gossip shifts. Laughter rises again. The bath has no patience for long shadows. It insists on balance. You realize that you are not simply listening. You are part of it. Your silence joins theirs. Your breath adds to the fog. Even without words, you contribute to the rhythm of the bathhouse. The steam curls tighter, heavier. Your skin prickles, your thoughts blur, voices weave together, indistinct, forming a blanket of sound. You do not need to follow them now. You let them cradle you, a lullaby of mundane truths and fleeting rumors. Someone splashes again, loud enough to break the harmony, then mutters an apology. Another replies with a chuckle, forgiving instantly. The hum resumes, steady and soft. You breathe, long and slow. The gossip fades into rhythm. The rhythm fades into breath, and the bath holds you steady. The heat still lingers across your shoulders, the mist wrapping you in a haze, when another presence draws your attention. A man lowers himself into the tub with measured calm. His movements are deliberate, controlled, as though every gesture has been practiced for a lifetime. Even through the blur of steam, you recognize the bearing a samurai. His robe and swords lie folded in the dressing room, neatly placed in their basket. Here he is stripped of the armor of his station. Without his daisho at his side, he seems less untouchable, yet no less composed. He settles slowly, exhaling as the water claims him, his eyes closing just as yours had moments before. Beside him sits a merchant, shoulders slouched, his belly softened by years of sake and rice. He hums under his breath, unconcerned, wiping sweat from his brow with the edge of his towel. His hands are broad, fingers stained faintly from ink or dye. You imagine him among ledgers, tallying coins by lantern light, his life measured in numbers and trade routes. Here, though, numbers do not matter. Here they sit shoulder to shoulder, rank outside, blurred inside. The merchant stretches his legs, letting them brush against the current, and the samurai does not flinch. The water belongs to both. You shift slightly, moving closer to their side of the tub. The ripples follow you, striking against the samurai's ribs, nudging against the merchant's knees. Neither man acknowledges it, though you know they feel it. The water insists that everyone is connected, no matter the difference beyond these walls. From across the bath another merchant speaks, his voice carrying through the haze. He describes the market at Nihonbashi, the stalls crowded with lacquerware so polished they reflect lantern flames. His hands move even here, sketching the curve of bowls and trays in the steam. The samurai tilts his head slightly, eyes still closed, listening. He does not reply, but his stillness is acknowledgement. Perhaps outside he would walk past the merchant without a glance, but here silence is answer enough. The first merchant chuckles, teasing about prices rising as quickly as gossip. His voice is warm, confident, practiced in trade. The samurai exhales slowly, as if in faint amusement, though no sound escapes his lips. That small motion is enough to shift the air. You close your eyes, letting the moment sink deeper. Records suggest that bathhouses were one of the rare spaces in Edo where class distinctions softened. Samurai could not leave their swords at the door without shedding part of their authority, yet here they did. In the fog, titles lost weight. Men were reduced to the same skin, the same breath, the same need for heat. You imagine the samurai outside, walking the wide streets near the castle, his sandals clicking sharp against the stones, his gaze fixed straight ahead. People would bow as he passed, merchants lowering their eyes, but here the same merchant hums beside him, their knees nearly touching beneath the rippling water. The bath creaks softly as someone else lowers himself into the tub. The water rises higher, slapping gently against your chest. This newcomer bows his head quickly, murmurs an apology for the splash, then finds space between the merchant and the samurai. The current presses all three of you closer, as though the tub itself refuses distance. No one scolds him. Space here is shared, forgiveness too. The air grows hotter as more bodies settle in. Drops slide down your temple, blurring your vision. You blink, and the mist turns everyone into silhouettes. Round shoulders, narrow spines, sloping heads, all softened until they seem like one. Another voice breaks through, bright with laughter. Someone recounts a drunken escapade, sandals lost, a robe torn, a night remembered less than half. The story ripples around the bath, drawing chuckles even from those half asleep. You notice the samurai's lips curve faintly upward. It is not a smile meant for show, but something small, private, given freely. The merchant hums again, his tune steady, unembarrassed. The samurai exhales in rhythm, as though the sound comforts him. The water itself seems to agree, rocking gently as men shift positions, waves colliding and fading. Your own body is carried with it, rocking softly as though in a cradle. You breathe deeply. The heat hums in your chest, the gossip swirls, the laughter rises and falls. For a moment you feel the invisible threads binding you all together. Merchant, samurai, labourer. You cannot tell the difference now, not when the mist erases edges and the water erases titles. Letters hint that deals were struck in places like this. Perhaps a loan forgiven after a long soak. Perhaps a favour promised, overheard only by steam. Perhaps even grudges softened, at least for a night, because the heat made anger too heavy to carry. You wonder what unspoken agreements hover here now, what fragments of words will travel beyond these doors, shaping tomorrow. The samurai shifts slightly, adjusting his arms against the rim. His fingers drum once, then rest. The merchant closes his eyes, head tilted back, humming still. You find yourself sinking lower into the water, your chin nearly submerged, the steam heavy in your lungs. In this moment, you are neither rich nor poor, neither soldier nor trader. You are only another figure in the bath, breathing, sweating, dissolving into the same fog. The tub groans again. More ripples spread outward. The heat holds you all equally, and the steam thickens, curling closer, erasing the last edges of rank. The heat clings to you, heavy as a second skin. Your chest rises slow, your breath thick with steam. At last you know it is time to leave the water. Not forever, only long enough to let your body cool, to feel the contrast that makes the warmth bearable. You rise carefully, gripping the wooden rim. Your muscles protest, loose from the soaking, trembling slightly as you lift yourself free. The water cascades down your body in shining sheets, droplets striking the surface below with a sound like soft rain. Each step upward sends ripples outward, brushing against the men still seated, their eyes opening briefly before sinking closed again. The floor greets your feet, slick, warm, alive with moisture. You steady yourself, towel clutched loosely, and move toward the door. Steam swirls behind you, reclaiming the space you leave. The dressing room air greets you like a whisper of relief. It is cooler here, though still thick, your skin prickling as the shift settles in. The murmurs continue, fabric rustling, baskets sliding, men tying cords with practiced ease. You pass among them, finding your robe where you left it. You drape it loosely across your shoulders, not yet closing it, letting the evening air touch your skin. Beyond the Norran curtain, a deeper cool awaits. You slide it aside, bow slightly without thought, and step out into the night. The air strikes you instantly, sharp, crisp, alive with the breath of dusk. You inhale deeply, your lungs grateful for air not pressed by steam. The contrast is startling, almost dizzying. The warmth of your body clashes with the chill of evening, sending a shiver racing down your spine. You stand still for a moment, simply breathing, letting the two extremes meet inside you. The street is quieter now. Vendors have folded their stalls, their calls replaced by the softer sounds of night. Paper lanterns sway from doorways, glowing amber, their light flickering across damp stones. Shadows move gently, figures drifting home, their footsteps muffled by the softened air. You walk slowly, sandals clacking softly against the ground. Each step feels heavier than before, not with weariness but with release. The bath has drained you, loosened your joints, slowed your pace. You do not hurry. The night insists on calm. The scents are different now, no longer sharp with fish and smoke. The air carries sweetness, grilled chestnuts sold from a roadside brazier, soy broth simmering behind a shuttered stall. The steam of the bath clings faintly to your robe, mixing with the scents of the city, turning every breath into a layered memory. You pause near a corner where a narrow canal cuts through the street. Water glints faintly in the lantern glow, its surface rippling with the passing of a boat. The oar dips silently, the sound swallowed by distance. A man hums from the boat's stern, his tune drifting across the water. You lean against the rail, the wood cool beneath your palms, and watch until the boat disappears beyond the curve. The night chorus begins. Cicadas droning from the trees beyond the walls, frogs croaking near the river's edge, the faint flutter of wings as swallows settle into the eaves. The city is not silent, yet its sounds are gentler now, softened by darkness. You draw your robe tighter at last, the cotton brushing damp against your skin. The knot holds loosely, just enough to keep it in place. The towel hangs around your neck, still warm, still carrying the scent of cedar from the bath. Another man steps out behind you, his hair still dripping. He exhales loudly, shaking his shoulders as if to cast off the steam. He notices you briefly, nods, then continues down the lane. His sandals slap against the stones, fading quickly into the night. You realize you are not alone in this rhythm. Hundreds of others leave their bathhouses at this hour, filling the streets with bodies cleansed and voices softened. You move again, your steps leading you toward home. The houses lean close, their paper windows glowing faintly with lantern light. Shadows shift within, families sharing rice, children dozing, women folding robes for tomorrow. The smell of pickled vegetables seeps from one doorway, the sharper tang of grilled fish from another. You stop once more at a small shrine tucked between two houses. Its stone lantern glows dimly, a single candle flickering. A bell hangs from a short rope, and you reach out, fingers brushing the frayed fibers. You tug gently. The bell rings low, its tone pure and brief, echoing softly into the night. You bow your head without words, breathing in the faint scent of incense still clinging to the air. When you straighten, the cool has settled deeper into your skin. Your hair, damp from steam, chills against your neck, yet the warmth from within remains, pulsing slowly, steady as your heartbeat. This balance, the cool air outside, the heat still inside, is what makes the bath whole. Without one, the other would lose meaning. You continue homeward. The stones glisten faintly, damp from evening mist. Your feet press into them, each step certain, unhurried. The lanterns above sway, their paper rustling like whispers. A dog barks once in the distance, then falls silent. You glance upward. The sky has cleared slightly, the clouds thinning to reveal a scatter of stars. They blink faintly above the roofs, distant yet constant. You inhale again, filling your chest with the night, and exhale slowly, your breath visible for an instant before dissolving. The bath lingers in you. Its steam still clings to your skin. Its heat still hums in your muscles, yet the cool air claims you too. balancing, grounding. Together they cradle you, warmth within, chill without, a perfect tension that carries you through the night. You walk on, slow and steady, the city breathing with you. Dawn stirs again, and you wake with the faint hum of the city already in your ears. The bath from the night before lingers in your body, your muscles softer, your breath deeper, but morning insists. You rise from the tatami, fold your bedding, and step outside. The air is crisp, the first light turning the tiled roofs pale silver. You follow the curve of the lane until it widens. Ahead of you stretches Nihonbashi, the great bridge at the city's heart. It arches broad and strong over the canal, its wooden planks grooved by countless feet and cartwheels. Beyond the bridge spreads the market, the busiest in Edo, a place where voices rise like birds at dawn. As you approach, the sounds swell. Cries of vendors, laughter of buyers, the clatter of wooden crates. Each call is distinct, yet together they form a single current, a tide that carries you forward. You step onto the bridge. Beneath, the canal glimmers with early light. Boats crowd the banks, their hulls heavy with goods, rice bales stacked like towers, baskets of vegetables still damp from the fields, fish glistening with river water. Men shout orders as they unload, their voices hoarse but steady. The smell rises with them. River mud, sea salt, the faint sharpness of drying seaweed. On the far side of the bridge, stalls line the streets. Bright cloths hang above them. Banners painted with bold strokes, each announcing wares in a rhythm of ink. You pass beneath one, the black characters for rice. Another nearby proclaims pickles, its banner fluttering in the morning breeze. You pause near a fishmonger's stall. His catch gleams in rows. Sardines laid out in silver lines, eels coiled in shallow tubs, carp still twitching faintly. He cries out, his words practiced, his rhythm sharp. A woman leans close, inspecting the gills, bargaining softly. The fishmonger laughs, waves a hand, and concedes the price. She bows, coins clinking into his palm, and he wraps the fish quickly in straw. The air thickens with smells. Pickled radish, pungent and sour, roasting chestnuts, sweet and warm, soy sauce poured from casks, its salty sharpness drifting. A vendor stirs miso soup in a pot, the steam curling upward to mingle with the chatter. You move on, weaving among the stalls. A cloth merchant spreads his wares across a low table, cotton-dyed indigo, silk embroidered with faint gold. His hands smooth the fabric, his smile broad as he calls to passers-by. You touch the cloth lightly. It is cool, smooth beneath your fingers, a contrast to the rough robe you wear. Nearby, a man sells brushes and ink. He dips one into a pot, sketching a quick character on a scrap of paper. The stroke is swift, confident, the ink bleeding into the fibers. He holds it up, smiling, then tosses the paper aside. Another buyer steps forward, coins already in hand. The voices of the market rise higher. A seller of vegetables chants his list. Each item delivered like part of a song, daikon, greens, beans. His voice rises and falls, the rhythm drawing buyers. Another man clangs a bell to draw attention to his stall of lacquerware. The sound rings clear, cutting through the noise. You pause to watch a group of porters carrying rice bales. Their shoulders strain under the weight, sweat already shining on their backs, though the sun has barely risen. They move in step, their sandals slapping the ground in unison. The bales are stacked high, bound with straw, heavy as stone. A clerk follows with a ledger, his brush moving quickly, recording each measure. The market is not only trade but theatre. Sellers raise their voices, buyers counter with laughter, children dart between legs, chasing after dropped scraps. A boy clutches a sweet dumpling in sticky fingers, his mouth already full, his mother scolding gently as she drags him onward. You breathe deeply, the smells of 100 stalls colliding in your chest. The air is thick but alive, each breath a reminder of the city's abundance and hunger alike. You step aside to rest near a stall selling tea. The vendor pours hot water into a small clay pot, the leaves unfurling slowly, releasing their scent. The aroma drifts grassy, bitter, sharp. He pours the tea into tiny cups, offering them to buyers as they pause. You accept one. The clay is warm against your palm, the liquid hot on your tongue. It tastes both earthy and clean, grounding amid the chaos. As you sip, you watch the flow of people. Merchants in plain robes, samurai with hair tied high, labourers bent from weight, women balancing baskets across their backs. Their paths cross, their voices mingle, and for a moment it seems that the entire city has gathered here at the foot of the bridge. Records suggest that Nihonbashi was not only the market's centre, but the symbolic heart of Edo. All roads were measured from this bridge. All distances began here. Standing amid the crowd, you feel that truth, every step leads outward, yet every step also returns. You finish the tea, setting the empty cup back on the vendor's tray. You bow slightly, and he nods, already pouring for the next. The sun climbs higher. Shadows shorten, light sharpens. The stalls glow brighter, fabrics shimmering, fish glistening, vegetables vivid. Voices rise even louder, bargaining sharpening as more buyers arrive. The air grows warmer, the crowd denser, but the rhythm continues steady, unbroken. You step back onto the bridge, the market stretching behind you, the canal before you. Boats still unload, their decks now lighter, their men calling softer as their work nears its end. The water glints, stirred by oars, its ripples carrying the reflection of banners fluttering above. You rest a moment at the bridge's centre. The wood is warm beneath your feet, polished by countless soles. You lean on the railing, watching the tide of people below. For a breath, you are apart from it, a watcher rather than a participant. Yet the market's rhythm still beats within you, its noise carried in your ears, its scent still clinging to your robe. When you turn to leave, the stalls remain alive, their calls chasing you down the street. The market will last all day, and tomorrow it will rise again, as constant as the bridge itself. Your steps carry you onward, away from Nihonbashi, but its hum follows, woven into the fabric of Edo's morning. The market's voices still echo in your ears. As you leave the bridge behind, your robe clings faintly to your skin, carrying the scents of the stalls. Grilled chestnuts, soy broth, seaweed drying in the sun. The crowd thins as you step into quieter lanes, where houses lean close, and the noise softens into the hum of ordinary life. You return to your dwelling, sliding the paper door open with a whisper. The room greets you with its familiar stillness. The tatami smells faintly of straw and ash, the air cooler than the market's heat. You set aside your towel, now dry, and reach for the low hearth at the room's centre. The fire has burned low, its embers faint red. You kneel, adding a piece of charcoal, listening to the soft crackle as it catches. Smoke rises gently, curling toward the ceiling before escaping through the narrow vent. The sound is small, yet it fills the silence with life. You hold your palms near, feeling the warmth seep into your skin. Breakfast waits in simple pieces. A pot of miso soup, left to simmer slowly, its broth rich with fermented paste and shreds of seaweed. A bowl of rice, plain yet fragrant, each grain clinging to the next. A small dish of pickled radish, sharp and sour, its scent already filling the room. A pinch of dried fish flakes rests on a tray as well, waiting to be scattered for taste. You take your seat before the low tray, adjusting your robe around your legs. The wood is cool beneath your knees, the surface worn smooth by years of use. You lift the lid of the rice bowl, and steam rises, soft and white, carrying the faint sweetness of cooked grain. The vapour touches your face, moist and gentle, before disappearing into the air. You take the first bite slowly. The rice is warm, slightly sticky, its flavour gentle but grounding. Each chew releases more sweetness, more substance. You breathe as you eat, the rhythm steady, the act quiet. Next, you lift the miso bowl. The clay is warm in your hands, its rim rough against your lips. The broth is salty, rich, earthy, the taste of fermented beans softened by the seaweed's ocean tang. A cube of tofu drifts against your tongue, tender and soft, breaking apart before you swallow. The heat spreads through your chest, calming, anchoring you. The pickled radish waits sharp against the gentleness. You bite, and the sour rush floods your tongue, waking you fully. Its crunch is loud in the stillness, a sound that belongs only to your mouth, only to this room. You swallow, exhaling through your nose, the sharpness fading into a faint sweetness that lingers. You alternate between each dish: rice, soup, pickle, then a pinch of dried fish. Simple, balanced, unchanging. Records suggest this was the ordinary breakfast of Edo townsfolk. Small portions steady enough to carry the body into the day. Not indulgence, but sustenance. Outside, you hear footsteps passing the lane, the murmur of voices on their way to work. A child laughs, chased by another, their sandals clattering across stone. The sound fades quickly, replaced by the softer creak of a cartwheel. Life continues beyond your door, but here you remain, bent over your tray, breathing steam. You pause once to refill your rice bowl, tapping lightly at its edge to loosen the grains. The act itself carries rhythm, lift, scoop, press, set. You bow your head briefly, a wordless thanks, then eat again. The second bowl feels easier, your stomach warming, your body settling into comfort. The fire crackles, louder now as the charcoal takes hold. Smoke thickens for a moment, then clears. You inhale, the scent mixing with miso, rice, and radish until the air feels like part of the meal. Your chopsticks click softly against the bowl, a rhythm like heartbeat. You take another bite of radish, another sip of soup. The repetition calms you, each cycle familiar, anchoring. You know the meal is small, but it feels endless in its simplicity, stretching out across your senses. When you finish, you set the bowls neatly to one side. A small cloth waits to wipe them clean. The motions are careful, precise, as though each object deserves respect. The bowls are not fine porcelain. They are clay, rough, and practical. Yet they hold the memory of countless meals, their surfaces etched faintly with lines from years of use. You sit back, resting your hands on your knees. The fire crackles faintly, smoke drifting toward the ceiling. Your stomach feels warm, not full, but satisfied. Enough. The simplicity lingers in your body. No dish overwhelms, no taste dominates. The meal leaves space within you, a balance between hunger and satiety, silence and sound. Outside, a bell rings faintly from a nearby temple. Its tone is deep, long, stretching across the morning air. You pause, listening, the sound slipping through the paper walls. Time is measured by such tones here, by bells and shadows, not by the ticking of machines. You glance at the folded futon, already set aside for the day. Its fabric smells faintly of sleep, faintly of smoke. You will not lie down again now. The day moves forward, its rhythm insistent, yet for a moment you imagine sinking back into its folds, letting the warmth of breakfast carry you into another doze. The thought lingers, pleasant but fleeting. Instead, you rise slowly, smoothing your robe. You gather the bowls, setting them neatly onto a tray, ready to be washed later. The wood creaks under your movement, the tatami pressing against your knees, the house settling around you. The light through the paper walls grows brighter, shadows sharp. A bird chirps from the eaves, its call quick and high, answered by another across the lane. You pause, smiling faintly, the sound as much a part of the morning as rice and soup. You step outside once more. The air greets you cool, crisp, carrying the faint scent of pine smoke from a neighbour's hearth. The lane is busier now. A woman bends to sweep dust from her threshold. A boy runs past with a bundle of firewood, sandals clapping sharply against the stones. A dog barks once, then curls back into its corner, tail twitching. Your stomach is calm, your body ready. the breakfast remains with you. Not its taste, but its rhythm, its quiet, rice, soup, pickle, fish, simple steps, repeated each morning, unchanging yet essential. You carry that steadiness as you walk into the day. The lane grows busier as you walk farther from your dwelling, the warmth of breakfast still steady in your stomach. The city has shifted into its working rhythm now. Morning's murmur has thickened into a steady pulse, and you hear it before you see it, the hammering of mallets, the rasp of saws, the chatter of tools striking wood and stone. You step into a street of craftsmen. Here the air changes. It smells of shavings and smoke, of lacquer drying, of iron heated over coals. The soundscape is layered, each shop adding its own voice, each trade demanding to be heard. To your left, a carpenter kneels over a length of cedar, the wood pale and fragrant beneath his plane. Each pull of the tool sings, a long hiss as shavings curl upward, thin as paper, drifting to the ground like curled ribbons. His hands are calloused, steady, his rhythm unbroken. You pause to watch the way he presses his weight forward, his whole body involved in each stroke. A pile of shavings grows around him, soft as straw, sweet with the scent of fresh timber. Farther along, a joiner fits beams together for what will become part of a house. He squats low, adjusting the notch with a chisel. The tool clicks, chips of wood falling onto his bare feet. He tests the join, frowns, then works again, patient and precise. Records suggest Edo houses were rebuilt often, fire and time claiming them, and these craftsmen ensured the city never stopped breathing. Their skill was both invisible and indispensable. The clang of metal draws your eye to the next stall. A blacksmith leans over a small anvil, his body gleaming with sweat, though the day is still cool. He hammers iron nails, sparks leaping with each strike. The rhythm is relentless. Ring, pause, ring, pause. The sound carries down the street, echoing against the plaster walls. His apprentices move quickly, plunging hot iron into water, steam rising in sharp bursts that sting your nose. The smell of iron and coal mixes with cedar, a contrast of earth and fire. Across the way, a potter sits at a low wheel spinning clay beneath his palms. His hands glisten with slip, fingers coaxing the clay upward into the shape of a bowl. The wheel hums softly, spun by a treadle beneath his foot. His face is calm, eyes narrowed, breath measured. He pinches the rim, smoothing it with a wet cloth, then lets the wheel slow. The bowl stands fragile and perfect, waiting to be dried, glazed, and fired. He sets it aside carefully, as though it already carries value beyond its form. You continue slowly, each step a passage through another craft. A weaver hums at her loom, threads snapping taut as she lifts and lowers the shuttle. The pattern grows strip by strip, indigo and white, the rhythm soothing and constant. The fabric drapes across her knees, soft and strong, destined for robes like your own. Next, you pass a shop where a block printer works. Sheets of paper hang on lines above him, fluttering faintly with the breeze. He dips a carved block into ink, presses it against the sheet, and lifts. The black lines bloom instantly, characters sharp and bold. He works quickly, pressing page after page, his hands stained dark. Records suggest these prints carried everything from news to poetry to images of kabuki actors, spreading Edo's culture through its streets. Here you see their birth in ink and wood. The street grows louder. Children dart among the shops, their laughter piercing the rhythm of tools. An apprentice shouts as he nearly drops a plank, his master scolding sharply. A woman calls from the doorway, offering tea to her husband at his bench. The steam from the cup rises, catching the scent of sawdust before dissolving. You pause at a lacquerer's stall. The man bends over a tray. Brush in hand, his strokes deliberate, slow. The liquid glistens red and black, shining like wet stone. He holds his breath as he works, not daring to let dust settle into the surface. When he exhales, it is long and careful, as though even his breath might disturb the finish. The smell is sharp, resinous, almost bitter. You lean closer, then step back quickly, respecting the fragility of the work. Beyond him, a maker of getter sandals displays his wares. The wooden soles are stacked neatly, straps dyed in bright patterns. He trims one with a small knife, smoothing its edge. The sandals click as buyers try them, their feet testing the balance of wood against stone. The sound is familiar, echoing from every street of Edo, the heartbeat of the city's footsteps. The air here is thick with life, yet it does not overwhelm. Each trade has its corner, its sound, its scent, and together they weave the fabric of the street. You move slowly, letting it wrap around you. You stop at a small stall where a brushmaker sits. His fingers are nimble, binding bristles with thread, shaping them into fine points. He tests one against paper, the ink flowing smooth, the line unbroken. He nods to himself, satisfied, then sets it aside. His table is crowded with brushes, thick for painting, thin for calligraphy, each crafted with care. The sight reminds you of the prints, of the calligraphy brushed onto paper doors, of the endless words that fill Edo's air. The sun climbs higher, casting sharper light into the lane. The dust glitters faintly in the beams, stirred by footsteps and tools. Your robe clings less now, drying in the warmth, carrying faint traces of sawdust and coal. You breathe deeply, filling your lungs with the mixed air of craft, sweat and labour. A bell rings faintly in the distance, perhaps from a nearby shrine. The sound threads through the noise of tools, steady and calm. For a moment the street seems to pause, as if listening. Then the rhythm resumes, louder, stronger, a tide that cannot be stilled. You step aside, resting near a wall. The plaster is warm against your back, rough beneath your fingers. From here you can see the whole street. Carpenters bent low, smiths striking iron, weavers leaning close to looms. The sight is both busy and serene, each person absorbed in their task, each sound a piece of the whole. You realize how much of Edo is built here, not just in timber and clay, but in the unseen labor that fills these lanes. The city breathes because these hands shape it, repair it, sustain it. You close your eyes for a moment. The hammering, the rasping, the humming of looms, all blend together, a lullaby of work. Even in labor, there is rhythm, and in rhythm, there is calm. When you open your eyes again, the street continues, unchanged, eternal in its repetition. You step forward once more, carrying the sounds with you deeper into the day. The lane of craftsmen fades behind you, its hammering and rasping replaced by a different sound, water moving, steady and broad. You follow the slope of the street until it opens onto the riverbank. The light here is brighter, reflected from the surface, scattered across the ripples. The river is wide, its water dark with silt, its current strong but steady. Boats move constantly, their hulls low and flat, built to carry goods and people alike. Some are stacked with bales of rice, others crowded with passengers, their robes fluttering in the breeze. Oars dip and rise, each stroke sending ripples outward, a rhythm as constant as the market's calls. You pause at the edge, the boards of the landing creaking beneath your sandals. The air smells different here, briny, sharp, with the faint sweetness of riverweed. A gull cries overhead, its wings flashing white before vanishing into the glare. The voices of boatmen rise above the water, loud and confident, each one guiding his craft through the crowded channel. You step toward a waiting ferry. Its planks are dark from years of water, the edges rough beneath your touch. The boatman bows briefly, one hand steadying the craft as you climb aboard. His other hand grips the oar, worn smooth where countless palms have held it. You settle onto the low bench, the wood damp, the air cool against your skin. The boat rocks once as more passengers step aboard. A woman balancing a basket of vegetables, a labourer with rope coiled around his shoulder, a clerk carrying a scroll case under his arm. They sit quietly, eyes cast toward the water or the opposite bank. No one speaks loudly. The river itself fills the silence. The boatman pushes off. The oar dips into the current, the water churning softly. The ferry glides forward, its bow cutting the ripples, the sound of the bank fading behind you. You breathe deeply, the air cooler here, carrying mist from the river's surface. Your robe flutters slightly in the breeze. The boat rocks gently, not enough to unsettle, only enough to remind you of its balance with the water. Each dip of the oar sends a pulse through the hull, a rhythm you begin to anticipate. Voices drift from another boat passing close. A group of merchants speak of deliveries, their words quick, urgent. You catch fragments. A late shipment, a buyer impatient, a price unsettled. Their oarsman calls out, steering them wide, and their boat passes, leaving only the ripple of their wake. To your left, a larger craft carries bundles of firewood stacked high. The boat creaks under the weight, water lapping close to the edge. Two men strain with poles, pushing hard against the current, their muscles taut, sweat darkening their robes. The smell of wet pine drifts across the water, sharp and resinous. The ferry continues steady. The boatman hums softly, his voice low, almost hidden beneath the splash of the oar. The tune is simple, repeating with each stroke, a rhythm older than the bridge, older than the city itself. You listen, letting the sound blend with the water until it becomes indistinguishable. Halfway across, the river widens in your sight. The city seems distant for a moment, softened by mist rising from the surface. Roofs blur, lanterns fade, the noise of the streets dulled by water's breath. You are between worlds, neither bank, neither shore, suspended in the river's current. Records suggest ferries like this were constant in Edo, carrying thousands each day across the Sumida and its branches. Bridges spanned some places, but not all, and the boats were as much a part of the city's rhythm as sandals against stone. To live here was to live with water, always near, always demanding passage. The clerk beside you adjusts his scroll case, tapping it nervously against his knee. Perhaps he thinks of an appointment, a document to deliver, a master to appease. The woman with the basket shifts it carefully, covering her vegetables with a cloth to shield them from the spray. The labourer closes his eyes, his head nodding slightly, the rocking boat lulling him toward rest. You look down into the water. It moves dark and swift, carrying bits of straw, a drifting leaf, the faint reflection of a gull overhead. The surface shifts constantly, never still, yet the motion soothes you. The oar dips again, and the ripples widen, their circles overlapping until they vanish. The opposite bank grows nearer. Houses line the shore, their walls leaning toward the water, their ladders descending to meet it. Children crouch near the edge, tossing stones, watching them skip before sinking. A dog barks, chasing the ripples, its paws splashing at the shallows. The boatman calls out, his voice steady, guiding the ferry toward the landing. The hull bumps softly against the wood, a hollow thud that vibrates through your feet. The passengers rise slowly, one by one, stepping carefully onto the boards. You follow, your sandals striking the damp wood, your balance adjusting to solid ground again. The boatman bows once more as you leave, already turning the ferry back into the current. His oar dips, the river claims him, and soon he is only another silhouette moving across the water. You stand at the bank for a moment longer. The smell of river mud clings to the air, mingling with smoke from nearby hearths. The sound of the city returns, vendors calling faintly, hammers ringing from distant workshops, voices carrying across narrow lanes. The river remains behind you, steady, endless, its rhythm part of the city yet apart from it. You turn toward the streets ahead. The crossing is done, but its calm lingers, the sway of the boat still in your body, the tune of the boatman still in your ears. The day waits, but for a breath longer you remain with the water. The streets beyond the river slope upward, narrowing again, lined with wooden facades leaning over the lane. Your robe brushes against the plaster as you pass. The sounds of the river fade, replaced by the softer rhythm of evening life beginning to stir. Lanterns hang from doorways, their paper sides painted with calligraphy. Shops, stalls, houses. One lantern sways gently, its characters brushed in bold strokes. Cha, tea. You pause. The air carries its promise already, the faint, grassy sharpness of leaves being warmed over charcoal. You step closer, sliding the wooden door aside. A soft chime greets you, the sound of metal striking against bamboo. Inside, the air shifts at once, cooler, quieter, scented with roasted tea and tatami straw. The tea house is small, a few low tables line the floor, each set with clay cups and lacquered trays. Cushions wait for guests, their fabric worn smooth by countless evenings of use. The walls are simple, pale plaster framed with dark beams, a scroll of calligraphy hanging near the alcove. Its ink strokes curve bold and calm, though you cannot read every word. A woman bows as you enter, her sleeves tied neatly behind her arms. Her smile is quiet but practiced, her voice soft as she welcomes you. She gestures to a table near the window, where the last of the daylight slips through paper screens. You bow in return, your body lowering easily after the rhythm of the day. You kneel onto the cushion. The table is low, its lacquer cool against your palms. From here you can see the street outside, the silhouettes of passers-by, the glow of lanterns, the sway of a peddler's pole. Yet the room feels apart from it, quieter, sheltered by its walls and the scent of tea. The woman returns with a tray, a small pot of clay, steam already rising from its spout. 2 cups, their rims thin, their glaze uneven but beautiful. A small dish of sweets sits beside them, bean paste folded into delicate shapes, sprinkled with fine sugar. She sets the tray down with careful hands, bows again, then withdraws. You lift the cup, its surface warm, and bring it to your lips. The tea is sharp at first, grassy, slightly bitter. Then the taste unfolds, deeper, softer, filling your mouth with warmth. You swallow slowly, the heat spreading down your throat into your chest. You exhale, the breath carrying the tea's aroma back to your nose. Outside, a child laughs, sandals pattering against the stones. The sound is distant, softened by the paper walls. A dog barks once, then quiets. The street continues, yet here in the tea house, the rhythm slows. You take another sip. The warmth lingers, not overwhelming but steady, like the bath's heat in gentler form. You reach for one of the sweets, its surface soft against your fingers. You bite, the bean paste smooth, its sweetness balancing the tea's bitterness. Together they form harmony, each taste easing the other. Records suggest that tea houses like this dotted Edo's streets, modest places, not the grand tea ceremonies of samurai gardens, but simple houses where townsfolk gathered to rest. They were not only for drinking, but for pause, for breath, for watching the world pass. Some letters hint that gossip flowed here as easily as at the baths, softened by cups of green liquid. Another guest enters, a man in a plain robe, shoulders stooped from labour. He bows quickly, takes a seat at the far table. The woman serves him with the same care, setting tea before him without delay. He drinks quickly, his hands trembling slightly, as though he has been waiting all day for this moment of rest. You sip again, slower. The steam fogs your lashes, blurs the edges of the cup. You rest it back onto the tray. The sound soft, clay against lacquer. Your hands rest on your knees, palms open, your body sinking deeper into the cushion. A breeze stirs through the open window. It carries the faint scent of pine smoke from nearby hearths, mixed with the grassy aroma of the tea. The paper screen flutters, the scroll on the wall sways slightly. The room seems to breathe with you. 2 men begin to talk at another table. Their voices are low, steady, speaking of the day's work. One mentions the price of rice, the other sighs, shaking his head. Their words blend with the steam of the tea, quiet and familiar, part of the air itself. You take another sweet, its sugar crystals crunching faintly before melting on your tongue. The taste lingers, gentle and slow. You sip again, the bitterness sharper this time, but still softened by the memory of sweetness. The light outside fades further. Lanterns glow brighter, their light slipping through the window in warm lines. The room darkens, yet the warmth of the tea holds you steady. The tea house feels timeless, suspended between day and night, between noise and silence. You imagine how many have sat here before you. Labourers resting weary legs, merchants counting their coins, travellers pausing before the next ferry, each cup poured, each sweet eaten, each word spoken dissolves into the air, leaving only traces. The room holds them all, like layers of steam invisible yet felt. The woman returns once more, bowing as she refills your cup. The tea is hotter now, sharper, its taste bolder. You sip carefully, lips tingling at the heat. She sets the pot down with quiet grace, then retreats again, her footsteps light against the wood. The street outside grows quieter. A cart rattles faintly, then fades. A final call of a vendor drifts, then vanishes. Night has taken the city, though here inside, the tea keeps its own time. You finish your cup, setting it down with care. Your body is warm, your mind calm, your breath even. You bow slightly toward the empty tray, a gesture of thanks, though no one watches. Then you rise slowly, smoothing your robe, and step toward the door. The woman bows once more as you leave, her smile unchanged, her voice soft. You bow in return, stepping back into the lane. The night greets you with its coolness. The tea lingers on your tongue, the warmth in your chest. The lanterns sway above, their paper glowing softly. The street breathes again, but slower, gentler, as though it too has taken tea. You walk onward, steady and calm, carrying the taste of leaves and sugar into the night. You step out from the teahouse, the night cool against your cheeks, the warmth of tea still humming in your chest. The street before you has changed since the morning. Shadows pool between the houses, lanterns sway above the doors, and every window glows faintly through paper walls. Evening has settled over Edo, and the city breathes at a gentler pace. You walk slowly, your sandals clicking softly against the stones. Each step feels measured, unhurried. The air smells of pine smoke, soy broth, simmering grilled fish crackling on coals. From a nearby stall, the sweet scent of roasting chestnuts drifts, sharp at first, then warm, almost buttery. The smells mingle, rising and falling with the evening breeze, weaving a tapestry of the city's appetite. A lantern swings above your head, its paper painted with brushstrokes that have faded from rain and time. Its light flickers golden, casting long shadows across the lane. Another lantern glows farther down, and another, until the whole street is strung with quiet fire. Their sway makes the shadows dance, never still, as if the city itself moves with them. You pass a shop where the shutters remain open, though the day is done. A man sits inside carving wood by lantern light. His knife moves slowly, shaving thin curls that fall to the floor like scattered petals. The smell of cedar drifts out into the night. He does not look up as you pass. His focus is complete, his rhythm steady. The sounds of evening are softer than the market's clamour. A shamisen twangs faintly from a distant house, its notes bending, rising, falling with the singer's voice. Children's laughter rings briefly, then vanishes as they are called indoors. A dog pads across the stones, its nails clicking, its nose pressed low in search of scraps. You turn a corner and find yourself among food stalls. Their smoke rises high, lanterns glowing above each counter. Men and women sit on low stools, cups of sake warming their hands, bowls of noodles steaming before them. A vendor lifts noodles from a pot, the strands glistening, steam curling upward. He places them into a bowl, sprinkles scallions, pours broth. The smell drifts across the lane, rich and salty, carrying warmth into the night. You pause, watching. A woman slurps quickly, her chopsticks tapping against the rim. A labourer drinks his sake in a single swallow, his face flushing with the heat. They laugh together, strangers perhaps, but here sharing a table, their voices mingling with the clatter of bowls. Records suggest that Edo's streets came alive in the evenings with such stalls. Though modest, they offered comfort to many, food enough to soothe, warmth enough to forget a day's labour. The stalls were places of stories as much as meals, their smoke carrying gossip into the night air. You move on, though the smell clings to you, tempting. The lane narrows again, quieter now, lined with closed shutters. Paper doors glow faintly from within, the silhouettes of families visible. A child bent over writing, a mother folding robes, a man sipping tea. The sounds are muffled, yet the closeness of life presses through the thin walls. You walk softly, not to disturb. A temple bell rings in the distance. Its tone is deep, rolling across rooftops, stretching into the night sky. You pause to listen, the sound steady, long, like breath itself. Another bell answers from farther away, fainter, its echo overlapping the first. Time is measured again, not by numbers, but by these vibrations carrying through the dark. You continue, following the sound of water. A canal runs through this part of the city, its surface reflecting lanterns in broken shards. Boats drift slowly, their oars dipping quietly, their lanterns bobbing with the current. The smell of damp earth rises from the banks, mingling with smoke from nearby hearths. A frog croaks, answered by another, their voices deep and unhurried. You stop at the bridge. Its rail is smooth from countless hands, cool beneath your fingers. You lean against it, watching the water move below. Ripples catch the lantern light, shimmering briefly before fading into shadow. A man rows past, humming softly, his song almost lost to the night. The rhythm of his oar is steady, the sound soothing, like the breath of the river itself. Above you, the sky is faintly clouded, but a few stars blink through. Their light is pale, fragile, yet constant. You breathe deeply, your chest rising slow, your shoulders loosening. The day's weight has eased, replaced by the softness of night. You leave the bridge and wander farther. The street widens briefly, opening into a small square. Here a group of men gather around a storyteller. He stands with fan in hand, his voice carrying in measured tones, his body gesturing broadly. The listeners sit cross-legged, their eyes fixed, laughter rising at his words. You linger at the edge, catching only fragments, yet the rhythm alone soothes you. Children chase each other nearby, their sandals slapping against the stones, their laughter weaving into the storyteller's voice. A dog barks at them, tail wagging, before curling back into sleep. Lanterns sway above, their glow steady, their shadows stretching across the square. You move on again, your steps slow. The city feels quieter here, though never silent. Each lane offers a new note. The rustle of robes, the faint creak of shutters, the sigh of wind through bamboo. Together they form a lullaby, carrying you deeper into the night. At last you return toward home. The paper door slides softly as you enter, the tatami cool beneath your feet. You fold your robe neatly, set your towel aside, and lower yourself onto the mat. The room smells faintly of straw, faintly of smoke, familiar and grounding. Outside, the lanterns sway, the city hums, but here you rest. The bath's heat, the tea's warmth, the stroll's calm, they linger within you, steady and soft. You close your eyes, your breath slow, the rhythm of Edo still carrying you. The night holds you gently, as the city breathes around you. Morning returns quietly. You wake to the sound of sparrows clattering along the eaves, their wings fluttering like paper fans. The air inside your dwelling is cool, faintly scented with last night's smoke. When you slide the door open, the first thing that greets you is green. The courtyard lies in the centre of the house, small but alive. Its fence of bamboo creaks faintly in the breeze, the stalks bound with twine. Within, the garden breathes in stillness. Moss spreads soft across stones. A maple stretches thin branches upward, and a single stone lantern rests at the edge of the path. The lantern is unlit, its surface darkened with age, a patch of lichen creeping across its base. You step onto the wooden walkway that borders the garden. The boards are cool under your bare feet, polished smooth by years of passage. You pause there, letting your gaze wander slowly over each detail. The moss glistens faintly with dew. The maple's leaves, still damp, drip quietly, the drops striking stone with soft taps. A carp stirs in the narrow pond, its scales flashing gold before vanishing into shadow. The garden is not large, not wild. It is shaped deliberately, each stone placed, each tree pruned, each ripple of gravel brushed by careful hands. Records suggest that Edo's courtyard gardens were not for grandeur, but for stillness. Small sanctuaries tucked inside the crowded city. Here, nature is not wilderness, but balance, crafted to offer calm. You kneel at the edge, fingers brushing the gravel. The stones are cool, smooth against your skin. They have been raked into faint lines, curving gently around the lantern as though imitating water. You trace the grooves lightly, feeling their pattern even as the morning breeze begins to scatter a few fallen leaves across them. A dragonfly hovers briefly, its wings catching the light. It lands on the rim of the pond, its body trembling, then darts away. A frog croaks once, hidden among reeds. The sounds are small, yet they carry the garden's pulse. You breathe in slowly. The air here feels different from the street. Less smoke, more earth. You catch the faint scent of damp soil, the sharper tang of pine from the bamboo fence, the sweetness of moss after rain. The city's clamour is only a murmur beyond these walls, softened by the garden's embrace. A neighbour's cough drifts faintly through the air, followed by the scrape of a broom. You hear sandals slap against stones outside, a vendor's call barely reaching your ears, yet the garden holds you apart, as though time slows within its bounds. You lower yourself onto the wooden step, your robe pooling at your sides. The sun has climbed just enough to slip light across the maple leaves, each one glowing green against shadow. A drop of water falls from a branch into the pond, sending ripples across its surface. The carp rises once more, its mouth breaking the water with a soft gulp, then sinking again into stillness. Letters hint that many Edo families used these gardens for quiet reflection, not ceremony but simple rest. Here a man might sip tea, or a woman mend clothes, or a child chase a beetle across the moss. The garden belonged to the household, yet it also belonged to itself. Its rhythm guided those who paused to notice. You tilt your head, listening. Somewhere beyond, a temple bell strikes, its tone muffled but steady. The sound blends with the drip of water, the rustle of bamboo, the croak of frogs. It feels as though the bell rings for the garden itself, marking its moment within the city's day. You reach for a broom propped nearby. Its bristles are rough, bound from twigs. You rise slowly, stepping into the gravel, and begin to sweep. The sound is faint, a dry whisper against stone. You move carefully, tracing arcs that follow the lines already made. A leaf resists, skittering across the path before you catch it. You pause to admire its veins, its colour mottled between green and yellow, then set it aside. The act soothes you. Each stroke of the broom feels like breath. Inhale, exhale, clear, renew. The garden responds, its patterns restored, its balance held. Sweat beads faintly on your brow. Though the air is cool, work here is not labour but meditation. When you finish, you lean the broom back against the wall. You return to the step, kneeling again, your heart steady, your breath slower. The garden seems brighter now, as though it has acknowledged your care. The water in the pond glimmers more sharply, the maple sways more gently, the moss appears softer. A butterfly drifts into the courtyard, its wings pale yellow, fragile as paper. It circles once, then settles on the stone lantern, opening and closing its wings in slow rhythm. You watch, entranced, until it rises again and vanishes beyond the bamboo. The city stirs louder outside. The shouts of porters, the clatter of carts, the ring of a hammer, yet the garden shields you. Its sounds and sights sink deeper into your body, leaving you calm even as the world presses on. You reach for a small clay cup. Left near the step, it holds water drawn from the well, still cool. You sip slowly, the taste clean, the sensation grounding. The cup's rim is rough, chipped slightly at one edge, but it fits your hand perfectly. You set it back down, watching as condensation beads on its surface. The sun climbs higher. Light shifts across the garden, shadows lengthening, leaves glowing brighter. The carp surfaces once more, its body shimmering beneath the ripples. A breeze stirs, rustling the bamboo, carrying a faint scent of pine and soil. You know you cannot stay here forever. The city waits, markets, ferries, baths, teahouses. Yet for this moment, the garden is enough. Its stillness holds you, its rhythm steadies you, its beauty lingers in silence. You rise slowly, bowing your head toward the lantern, toward the maple, toward the pond. The gesture is small, instinctive, but it feels right. You slide the door closed behind you, leaving the garden as it was, alive, patient, waiting for the next breath, the next gaze, the next hand with a broom. And as you step back into the house, the calm remains with you, carried like water in your chest. Night folds itself gently over Edo, the sky darkening until only lanterns keep the streets awake. The air is cooler now, carrying both smoke from hearths and the sharper tang of sake spilled on wooden counters. The day's labour has ended, yet the city does not sleep. It turns instead to its other rhythm, entertainment. You follow the glow of clustered lanterns until the street widens into a district alive with sound. Shamazin strings hum from one corner, their tones rising and falling like waves. From another, the deeper beat of drums punctuates laughter. The air smells of grilled fish, of sake warming over coals, of sweet dumplings turning golden in oil. You pause at a food stall. Men sit shoulder to shoulder, their laughter rising with the steam from their bowls. A vendor ladles broth into cups, his motions practiced, his face shining in the lantern glow. He shouts greetings to passers-by, his voice blending with the din. You feel the warmth spill onto the street, as though the stall itself breathes heat into the night. Farther along, a group gathers around a storyteller. He stands tall, fan in hand, his robe loose. His voice carries far, bending with each phrase, sharp and dramatic, then soft and teasing. The listeners lean forward, eyes wide, their bodies swaying with the rhythm of his tale. Children giggle at his gestures, their hands clapping softly. Adults laugh too, though lower, some sipping from flasks they've brought. You catch a fragment of his story, an unlucky merchant fooled by a clever fox spirit, and you smile even without the ending. Beyond him, music grows louder. A stage rises ahead, its frame of dark wood draped with banners painted in bold strokes. Kabuki. The theatre glows with lanterns, each painted with family crests, each flickering against the night. The crowd is dense, men and women pressing forward, their sandals scraping stone, their voices buzzing with anticipation. You edge closer. The stage is already alive, a drummer strikes hard, the sound echoing across the square. A flautist joins, his notes piercing and sharp, weaving between the beats. The actors appear, their faces painted white, their eyes rimmed black, their robes brilliant in red and gold. They move with sudden gestures, an arm outstretched, a head tilted, a foot stamped sharply. Each motion is deliberate, each pause filled with meaning. The crowd reacts instantly. Gasps rise when an actor freezes in a dramatic mise pose, his body rigid, his gaze fierce. Applause follows. loud and rhythmic. Children tug at their parents' sleeves, pointing, their voices rising above the music. Merchants cheer loudly, their sake-flushed faces glowing. Even samurai stand among them, still and silent, their presence softened by the theatre's heat. You watch, your breath caught by the spectacle. The colours blur in the lantern light, the drums vibrate in your chest, the actors' voices rise to fill the night. The story is old, perhaps told 1,000 times, yet the energy feels new, alive in this moment. Records suggest kabuki was both praised and scorned, celebrated for its vibrancy, criticized for its unruly crowds. But here, in the glow of lanterns and the hum of drums, it feels like the heartbeat of the city itself. You feel it in your bones, a pulse as steady as the bath's steam or the river's current. The performance ends with a sudden silence. The actors frozen in place. The crowd erupts in applause, clapping, shouting, voices rising like birds startled into flight. The actors bow, their faces still painted, their robes gleaming. The music swells one last time, then fades. The crowd disperses slowly, some lingering to buy dumplings or cups of sake, others already talking about the story, their voices quick, their hands gesturing. You drift among them, carried by their energy. A side street leads you to quieter sounds. The strum of shamisen inside a tea house. Its paper walls glow softly, silhouettes moving within. You pause at the doorway, listening. The notes are gentler than the stage, flowing smooth and calm. A woman's voice joins, high and clear, carrying an old song of rivers and love. The tune weaves into the night, threading through the lantern glow. A man inside laughs, his voice booming, followed by softer chuckles. Cups clink. The smell of sake wafts through the doorway. You linger, letting the sound brush against you, then continue onward. Another street opens into a row of stalls selling trinkets. Paper fans painted with cranes and pine trees. Masks of demons and foxes, their colours bright. Small toys carved from wood, spinning tops and tiny dolls. Children dart among them, their laughter bright, their hands reaching eagerly. Mothers scold gently, fathers bargain softly, vendors cry their prices with practiced voices. You pick up a fan, its paper cool against your skin, the painted crane elegant in flight. You set it down again, bowing slightly to the vendor, who nods without pause, already calling to another passerby. The night deepens, yet the city does not still. Voices remain, lanterns glow, music drifts, yet the energy shifts slowly from sharp to soft. The kabuki stage quiets, its lanterns dimmed. Storytellers end their tales, bowing deeply before packing away their fans. Food stalls close one by one, their fires doused, smoke curling upward. You wander back toward the river. Its surface reflects the lanterns, broken into trembling paths of gold. A boat passes, its passengers singing softly, their voices rising and falling like the water itself. The oar dips, the boat glides, the song fades into the night. You pause at the bank, leaning against the railing. The wood is cool beneath your palms. The air is fresher here, carrying mist from the water. You breathe deeply, filling your chest, feeling the calm return after the noise of the theatre. The city's pulse continues, but softer now. Laughter fades, music drifts, lanterns sway gently in the breeze. Night holds Edo in its rhythm, neither still nor hurried, alive yet calm. You turn toward home, your sandals clicking softly. The bath, the tea, the stroll, the theatre, they linger in you, threads of the city woven together. You carry them as you step into the night, the glow of Edo fading gently around you. Midnight creeps into Edo without announcement. The theatres have gone dark. The food stalls have doused their fires, and even the shamisen players have packed their instruments. The air feels different now, cooler, thinner, carrying only fragments of sound. The city that pulsed so loudly an hour ago seems to exhale, settling into a quieter rhythm. You step out into the lane, your sandals soft against the stones. The paper lanterns above still glow, but their light is weaker, their paper darkened by soot and night air. They sway gently in the breeze, their shadows stretching long and pale across the ground. The streets are nearly empty. A cart creaks in the distance, its wheels groaning, its driver silent. You catch the faint jingle of a bell tied to its ox, each step slow, unhurried, like the breath of the hour itself. Beyond that, little moves. Edo at midnight belongs to shadows and whispers. You walk softly, your robe brushing against your legs. The air smells faintly of ashes. Fires cooling in hearths, smoke settling low. A hint of soy drifts from somewhere, left over from a stall that closed late. Otherwise the night smells of damp wood and stone, the scent of a city resting. You pass a row of houses, their windows glowing faintly through paper walls. The silhouettes within are quiet. A man seated in prayer, a woman folding robes, a child curled against a mat. You move past them without pause, the walls thin yet holding entire worlds behind them. At the corner, you glimpse a patrol, 2 men, their lanterns held high, their staffs tapping against the stones, their sandals scuff the ground in rhythm, their eyes sharp, though their faces are weary. They nod slightly as they pass, not stopping, their voices low as they exchange brief words. Records suggest that such patrols were common. Fire and crime were constant fears, and the night watch walked tirelessly, keeping Edo's streets in fragile order. You continue, the sound of their staffs fading until only the hush of your breath remains. The city feels larger at night. The streets stretch longer, the alleys deeper, the buildings taller. The absence of voices makes space wider, emptier. You pause beneath the eaves of a closed shop, leaning against the cool wood. A moth flutters against the lantern above, its wings beating soundlessly, drawn to the faint glow. From farther down the lane comes a different sound. The cough of a drunkard. A man stumbles into view, his robe loose, his hair dishevelled. He mutters to himself, his words slurred, his steps uneven. He pauses to lean against a wall, then lurches forward again, sandals scraping against the stones. You watch him disappear into an alley, his shadow stretching, then vanishing. The silence closes quickly behind him. You move on, your steps slow. The night thickens here, the lanterns spaced farther apart. Darkness gathers between them, the kind that makes you hesitate, your eyes searching for shapes. You breathe steadily, reminding yourself that this is the same city as the day, only quieter, only cloaked. At the next crossing, you find a bridge. Its wood glistens faintly with dew, the rail cool beneath your palm. The river below is dark, its surface broken only by ripples where fish stir. A single boat drifts, guided by a man who rows without song. His lantern glows dim, casting only a small circle of light around him. He moves slowly, the water carrying him more than his oar. You watch until he disappears into shadow, leaving only the sound of water licking against the posts. The bridge hums faintly beneath your feet, the wood shifting as the river presses against it. You linger, the cool air brushing your face, the mist rising in thin threads. The city feels distant here, softened by the water's steady pull. When you leave the bridge, you take a narrower street. Its stones are uneven, its houses lower. The silence here is deeper, broken only by the faint squeak of a shutter in the breeze. You glance upward. Stars blink faintly above, pale against the dark sky. Clouds drift slowly, veiling them, then revealing them again. You pass a shrine tucked between houses. Its lanterns are unlit, but the stone foxes at its gate gleam faintly in moonlight. Their faces are sharp, watchful, their mouths open as if whispering. You bow your head briefly, not from ritual, but instinct. Then move on, your steps hushed. Letters hint that midnight in Edo carried its own dangers. Fires sparked from embers, thieves slipping through shadows, accidents in narrow alleys. Yet tonight feels less threatening, more like a city breathing in sleep. The silence is thick but not hostile, the shadows deep but not cruel. Farther along you hear another sound, the faint pluck of shamisen. You follow it, turning down a lane where a tea house still glows. Inside, a woman sings softly, her voice rising and falling like water. Only a few guests remain, their heads bowed over cups, their laughter muted. The music drifts through the paper walls, fragile and thin, yet it reaches you clearly. You pause to listen, letting the song carry you. It feels both lonely and soothing, a reminder that the city never sleeps entirely. You linger until the song ends. Silence follows and you move on, the echo of the notes trailing you. At last you return toward your dwelling. The streets are nearly empty now. Only the occasional bark of a dog, the rustle of bamboo against plaster, the sigh of the wind remain. You step softly, your body heavy, your breath slow. You slide your door closed behind you. The sound soft but final, the tatami smells of straw, the air cool, the room still. You lower yourself onto the mat, folding your robe beside you. The silence here is complete, deeper than the streets, wrapping you like the garden's moss. Outside, Edo continues its midnight breath, but you rest within it, safe and quiet. The night ebbs slowly, like a tide withdrawing from the shore. You stir awake before the city fully rouses, your body still heavy from sleep, but already sensing the change in the air. The silence of midnight has thinned, replaced by faint signs of return. You slide the paper door aside. The courtyard greets you first, its moss silvered with dew, its maple dark against the paling sky. A bird calls once, hesitant, then again stronger. The sound carries across the stillness, answered by another from a neighbouring roof. Dawn approaches, and with it, Edo stirs. You step outside. The stones are cool beneath your feet, slick with dew. The air smells faintly of ash, faintly of damp earth, fresh and raw after night's long breath. You draw your robe tighter, the fabric brushing damp against your skin. The lane beyond is quiet but not empty. A woman sweeps her threshold, her broom scratching softly across stone. A man bends to adjust his sandals before lifting 2 buckets across a pole, their water sloshing gently as he moves. A child yawns, rubbing eyes, her small hands clutching her mother's robe as they step into the morning. You follow the lane, your sandals clicking softly. The sky lightens by degrees, grey to blue, blue to pale gold. The roofs catch the first glint of sun, their tiles shining faintly. The lanterns that guided the night are dark now, their paper still swaying in the breeze, waiting for evening to claim them again. At the corner you hear a vendor's call. His voice is low at first, then rises, steady, practiced tofu for the morning. He carries a wooden yoke across his shoulders, buckets balanced, steam rising faintly from the fresh blocks. The smell drifts sharp and earthy, cutting through the cool air. A woman meets him with coins, bowing quickly, her child clinging at her side. The vendor ladles tofu into her pot, his motions quick but careful. The sound of the temple bell follows. Its tone is deep, rolling slowly across the roofs, marking the hour without numbers. The vibration settles into your chest, steady, calm. Another bell answers from farther away, their sounds overlapping like waves. The city marks its time by these notes, and the day begins. You walk toward the river again. The water reflects the morning sky, pale and endless. Boats are already loading, bales of rice stacked, bundles of firewood tied, baskets of vegetables arranged. Men shout orders, their voices sharper now, less tired than the night before. The smell of river mud mixes with pine smoke from nearby hearths. You pause on the bridge, leaning against the rail. The wood is damp beneath your palms, the air brisk against your cheeks. Below, a boatman pushes off, his oar dipping into the current, his voice calling a short song to keep his rhythm. Passengers sit quietly, their robes wrapped tight, their faces turned toward the morning sun. Records suggest that dawn was a time of renewal in Edo, when the city shrugged off the heaviness of night and returned to its ceaseless flow. Markets would soon reopen, craftsmen would unbar their shutters, children would return to lessons. Each day began much as the last, yet each carried its own weight, its own rhythm. You turn from the river and follow the streets back toward Nihonbashi. The market has not yet reached its full voice, but stalls are already opening. Fishmongers arrange their catch, scales glinting silver in the rising light. Vegetable sellers spread greens across mats, their leaves still wet with dew. A man hammers a sign into place, the sound ringing sharp in the morning air. You weave among them, listening, voices rise steadily, bargaining beginning, laughter breaking the chill. The smell of soy and miso drifts again, mingling with the sharper tang of pickles. Children carry baskets, apprentices haul crates, clerks shuffle scrolls under their arms. The bridge hums with footsteps, its boards creaking under the weight of the city waking. You stop at a stall where a woman fries dumplings in oil. The steam rises fragrant, the dumplings golden, crackling as she turns them. You take one, its surface hot against your fingers. You bite carefully, the filling salty and soft, the taste anchoring you fully in the day. You bow your head in thanks, coins clinking against her tray. The sun climbs higher, shadows shorten, roofs gleam. The streets glow, the market swells louder, voices colliding, carts rattling, sandals slapping. Yet you carry within you the memory of the night's silence, the stillness of the courtyard garden, the warmth of the bath, the calm of the tea house. The city is alive, but so are you, renewed by its rhythm. You wander back toward your dwelling. The paper door slides open once more, the tatami waiting, the hearth glowing faintly. You kneel, setting aside your robe, resting your body against the mat. Outside, the city continues, bells ringing, merchants shouting, children laughing, but within you carry both silence and sound, both heat and cool, both night and dawn. Your breath slows. Your eyes grow heavy. The day has begun, but you are safe here, resting within Edo's endless cycle. The city of Edo fades now, like lanterns dimming one by one. The bustle of markets, the laughter at teahouses, the steam of the bathhouse, all soften, retreating into distance. You no longer need to hold their sounds or their shapes. They drift from you gently, like smoke carried on evening air. You're safe now. The streets are gone, the noise dissolves, and only calm remains. The stones beneath your sandals melt away into softness. The lanterns flicker once more, then vanish. The bells that marked time in the city fall silent, leaving only the steady rhythm of your own breath. Each inhale is slow, deep, easy. Each exhale lengthens, carrying with it the weight of the day, the weight of the story, the weight of the world. You don't have to move, you don't have to think, you only breathe, safe and still. The images dissolve into warmth. The wooden bathhouse, the smell of cedar, the glow of the tea house lantern, all fade to memory. They no longer press on you, they linger gently, like dreams that comfort but do not cling. You feel your body loosening, your shoulders sinking deeper, your chest rising slower. The air around you is soft, steady, constant. You are carried as though on water, rocked by a rhythm too quiet to disturb. There is nothing you must hold on to, nothing you must prepare for, only this ease, this quiet, this drifting. You are safe now. That world fades behind you, fading into shadow, fading into stillness. All that remains is calm softness and the steady breath that carries you forward into sleep. Sweet dreams.